Hi there, my name's Dirk Botha and you are watching the Peninsula Angling Club training videos. Today's episode is episode 7 of chapter 1, the rest of the stuff that you need. This is fairly basic. A lot of people are going to be saying, yeah, but we know about that. The thing is, an equal amount of people are going to say, well, we didn't know. So, to begin all of this off, a towel. Really, guys, a decent towel. Not a face cloth or anything, an actual towel. Okay, that's very useful. You're spending time next to the water, you're going to be wet. Bring a towel. Something that a lot of guys leave until the last moment is a wader. You know, even in summer months here in South Africa, when it's like early morning, it's worth having a wader. Now, this is a wader. At the bottom, you've got some boots. It's basically either a rubber or a neoprene covering that covers you to about here, and it's really necessary for the winter months, guys. Honestly, walking into 0-degree water is no fun, and it does stuff up your fishing day. So when you have the money, get yourself a wader. It is worth it. The South African Freshwater Bank Angling rules are very specific around footwear. If you read those rules, you will see that they say that the footwear has to cover the front of your foot, above your foot, and your heel completely. So you're talking about a bona fide shoe. It's not exactly great walking into the water with a decent pair of sneakers, or tackies as we call them down here in South Africa. But you can get these. They are actually water shoes. Do not get the soft booties that they sell for rock and surf anglers. In my experience, and I've had several sets, they don't last. You're going to wear them 2-3 trips and then they're going to be gone. They're going to break and perish and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how it is that they last for the saltwater guys. I really don't understand it. But these you can buy at any sports shop. They're actually designed for walking in pretty long distances through occasional water. I got these at Pep stores. I think they cost me $120, but they're perfectly legal, and I've been wearing them since last year January. So yeah, no, I've had them for about a year, and by the look of them, they're going to last me another year. Landing nets. When you've got the fish on and you're bringing it in, you can't just pick it up with your hand. The rules do allow you to pick up fish by your hand, but honestly, if you're competitive in any way, you're going to lose fish that way. So you want to get yourself a decent landing net. This particular one comes in 2 sections. Very nice to have, very easy to use. Do get one that has the big holes. I know a lot of anglers that say they do not want the ones with the big holes because their weights fall through and then they've got to go find the weight. You know what? I'd rather have that than have my hook get stuck into the small hole ones. I've got those, but I don't use them anymore. It's just, I find that I struggle too much trying to get hooks out of them. So they cost me time at the edge of the water when I'm trying to get a fish into my keep net, and yeah, I'll never use those again. You will note that I have a little piece of blue sponge here. This is a section of a pool noodle. I unscrewed the front here and I actually cut a pool noodle like that to put it on. And it moves. Yeah. That is so that I can chuck this in the water and it will not sink. It will stay afloat. This section will stay afloat, and I will be able to find my net even if I happen to drop it. It is also great for when you're doing tempo angling, because you just plonk it in the water next to your keep net, and you make sure it doesn't float away. That's it. It's awesome for that purpose. Length of the handle, at least 1 meter. Really, unless you're some kind of long-armed mutant, you want at least 1 meter. Okay. That's enough about landing nets. Keep nets. Right. What I have here is a tripod on which a keep net is hanging. Now, these keep nets were not available, or at least not easily available, when I started fishing here in the Western Province. Couple of critical features that you need to be aware of is that at the top here, buy the keep net that has the flap, not the one that has a drawstring, the one that has a flap. If you're tempo angling, this flap saves you time, and yeah, as I said before, time is points. I need to mention this here while I'm on the subject. This is a nameplate, full name, club, and my C.P.A.C angling number. If you're angling leagues or any form of competition, you need to have that nameplate on your keep net. If you don't, your keep net will be thrown back into the water. We've had this happen numerous times. Make sure your keep net has a name tag on it. If you are not yet registered with C.P.A.C, we can give you a temporary plaque that you can put on there, and you'll be able to fish in a competition like that. You also need a tripod stand. This is a bit of a sore subject for me, because even today I haven't been able to find a proper keep net stand for my purposes. I mean, this thing I made myself. As you can see, it looks horrendous. It's not exactly what I would call fantastic. It is functional and it works, but it doesn't look good. So yeah, chances are, if you're in the Western Province, you're probably going to end up having to make your own. MacGyver something, really. That's about the best advice I can give, unless you can get one sent down to you from up country. Another word on keep nets. You will find that a lot of guys have these what they call shade net keep nets. I absolutely despise those things. The water does not flow properly through those nets. The water inside those nets overheats and fish die inside those nets. So don't buy them. Really, they cost a ridiculous amount of money, and they look really cool, but they do nothing for you and they do nothing for the fish. Don't buy them, don't use them. Some guys are going to contradict me on this. My experience with those things, not worth the money, really, just not. In the Western Province, you will also need one of these. This is what we call specifically a Witvis net. It has much smaller holes than the big net. It is still not a shade net, keep net, but the Witvis at Brandvlei and Kwaggaskloof don't escape from this one. They will escape from the big one. So make sure you get one of these, okay? Before you go and do a league at Brandvlei or Kwaggaskloof. If you're not taking part in leagues, don't bother. Really, not worth it. It's money that you can spend on something else. You don't get these with a flap. You only get them in the drawstring form. So there's your drawstring, you open it up, chuck your fish in, and then you close it again. Right? Again, back to the name tags on the keep nets. If you have two keep nets, both of them have to have tags on them. If you don't have two tags, you have to tie one keep net to the keep net that has the tag on. And you make sure that the official that does the weigh-in tells you, okay, you can untie the nets now. You do not untie those nets before he is there to weigh your fish. You do not speak to him. You bring that entire knotted net to him and you say, okay, may I untie my nets now? This is because if the official is not aware of the fact that you've got one net that has a tag and one net that doesn't, and that they are separate, again, the one that isn't tagged is going to go back. Guys, we've had issues with this in the past. Please, keep nets. Follow the rules. It really is not worth going and being absolutely awesome for an entire day next to the water, making the guys next to you look as if they don't know what they're doing, and then when it comes to weigh-in, they're all standing there basically laughing at you. If you're going to be competitive, be competitive. This is such a small thing, it's such a small detail that you need to take care of, that there's absolutely no reason not to have a tag on your net. That is enough about keep nets. So let me just put this away. Give me a second. Oh, sorry. So it's landing nets, keep nets, waders, and shoes. Okay. And towels and pool noodle. Really, guys, you have no idea how many things you can use this for. As I've shown you with the landing net, it helps you to keep your landing net floating. You cut a centimeter off, and while you're making your hook links, you just stick your hooks in here all along the round, and you just, when you are ready to use your hook links, you just take them off one at a time. It really speeds up the process when you're making rigs. So yes, pool noodle, keep one handy. Scissors. Dead standard Pick n Pay pair of scissors. Grab some. This is a special kind of scissor. This is one that I used for when I was allowed to use braid. So awesome scissor. If you can afford to get one, get one. A relatively decent multi-tool. It doesn't have to be a Leatherman. Really, Leathermans are expensive, but get a decent one. You know, that's a blade, a can opener. That's all that kind of thing. You know, that's especially when you going to open a can of corn. Sometimes you forget to bring the can opener along. So what do? You go to your multi-tool, and it prevents embarrassing moments. If you're struggling with something and you need a grip, there you go. Multi-tool. Insulation tape. I use these on my reels to mark off specific casting distances. I don't use the line clip on my reels. I use this as a line clip because when the fish takes your line and you're clipped in at 60 meters and that fish goes. And this happened to me at Nationals. That fish goes. If you're working on the line clip on your reel, that thing's going to cut your line and you're missing a fish. However, if you're using this, then it just rips out from underneath it and you're still on. And again, that happened to me at Nationals. I was clipped in at 60 and 80 meters. I had to let both those clips go. If it wasn't for this masking tape, if I was clipped in on the actual clip on the spool that the manufacturers so kindly provide, I would have lost that fish. So yeah, masking tape. 3M micropore tape. You wrap this around your finger when your finger starts becoming sensitive. This is great again for tempo angling. When you've been casting all day and your finger starts to hurt, this stuff. Also, if you are not in a competition and you're using a braid leader, you need to use it because the braid will cut your finger. This next item is there for if you really struggle with getting hooks out like I do. It's always a pain for me. So I went and got myself one of these. I don't know what they're called. I know that they're used in the medical profession to clamp down on arteries and the pipes that you see dangling into people, etc. What I do is I've got this attached to an elastic that I wrap around my arm, and there you go. That's it. If I need to get a hook out, there, I'm on the hook, I clamp it, I get it out. I don't struggle. This has saved me a lot of time. It works very well. But you have to make something happen as far as this. You need to do something about making sure it doesn't drop in the drink and you lose it, because they cost 120 bucks each. Where to get them? I got this one at a pharmacy. Not all pharmacies stock them, so you're going to have to do a bit of a walkabout in order to find one. And then I get to the two things that are probably the most critical. I can't show them to you right now. I'll have to edit in a picture into this video so that you can see it. Maybe over there or over there. Maybe up there, or I don't know. It'll be somewhere here in the video where I'm going to show you what a tackle box stand and a tackle box together looks like. You're going to need some buckets. Plastic or stainless steel buckets. They're going to be in your stand. They're going to be inside 2 rings. That is for your feed and your water. So these stainless steel buckets you can buy at Macro, and I know there's a big shopping centre here at Cape Gate, close to where I live, where they are also being sold. They're not more than 100 bucks each. Now, tackle boxes in terms of rock and surf anglers and fly fishermen and lure anglers, art lure. Every single one of those types of anglers has a different kind of tackle box. And yes, we too have a very special kind of tackle box. It is not the normal tackle box that you would walk into the average tackle shop and get. It is something like this. Right. This was my first tackle box. You will notice that it is actually quite huge. In the back here, you'll see there are rows. In these rows we put our attractants. There's space for about 24 normally. The bigger tackle boxes have space for much more. There's space for your floaties, your does, etc, etc, etc. And down here you have space for fishing line, etc, etc, etc. This thing is heavy. It's made out of wood. If you can, get yourself the aluminium ones. Really, I bought myself one in December. It's the biggest one that the guys at Sensation currently sells. It was expensive, no jokes. It cost me $2,000, but it was worth it. Honestly, it takes everything I can possibly want to have with me next to the water, barring my reels. So when I'm standing next to the water, that's it. I've got my tackle box, and even most of the emergency stuff I would want actually fit into my tackle box. It's done. As far as the stands are concerned, guys, I know, especially here in the Western Province, it's difficult to find stands. Well, let me rephrase. It's difficult to find inexpensive stands. It's very easy to find very expensive, very useless stands that, you know, they're all rickety and they're not actually standing still when you need them to. So you're going to have to be careful. My personal suggestion is, if you can afford it, buy yourself the Sensation tripod stand. Not the 4-foot stand, not the one that folds in upon itself. That one I've seen fall over. I'm really sorry, guys, at Sensation. It's the truth. The fact is, when we're standing here at Theewaterskloof and we've got 50 km/h winds, those stands, they don't cut it. You need to get the tripod ones. Okay? The Sensation tripod ones, as far as I've been able to determine, they do take the punch and they can stand the winds. So they cost R1,000. They are expensive, I admit it, but you know what? It's worth it. If you can, if you have the skill, you can always make it yourself. I made my first stand myself. It doesn't look great. It's actually what my tackle box is standing on right now. Really, I was very self-conscious about what it looked like. But I have to admit, I have never owned a more stable or a more functional stand, ever. In terms of just functionality, I really love it. It's an A-frame, and it's, again, if you can, make it yourself. Nobody's going to fight with you about it. Policeman. And I'm not talking about the guy that's going to give you a fine because you're driving home a bit too fast. I know a lot of guys out there in other countries are not going to be familiar with this, so I'm going to have to explain the concept. This is a cork-like substance that has a cut in it with a drilled out hole. It's got a bright side and a black side. When angling, you take this at the front of your fishing rod, you slide your line into this and you flick it down until it's a decent distance away. It's a bite indicator. Here in South Africa we call them policemen. It's a mechanical one. You are not allowed at competitions or leagues to use any kind of bait alarm. The only persons, according to the rules, that are allowed to use an electronic bait alarm are deaf people. Sorry, not deaf, blind people. If you're blind and you're doing fishing, you are allowed to use an electronic sound maker in order to do bite indication. If you are not blind, I'm sorry, you're not allowed to. We basically have this type, which is the cork-like substance. It isn't cork. It's I know that for a fact, but you get various sizes. That was the big one. This is a smaller one, and this is an even smaller one. They are expensive. Honestly, these days they go for about R5 each. In my mind, it's a bit of a rip-off, but then again, it's not something that you buy every single day, so there might be justification behind it. There is another kind of policeman. It is this. You buy it in long strands and you cut it down to these sizes. It's basically a spiral plastic. This has a very specific use. When you're angling in muggy water, water that has a lot of floating debris or grass, etc., you can see that has a much bigger hole than the cork policeman, and that fact allows you to not worry about your line gunking up at the top when you're reeling in. With the cork policeman, sometimes gunk gets stuck in there and you can't reel anymore, and it's especially annoying when you've got a fish on. So do get some of the spiral ones. Again, they're expensive. I don't know why, but for about 4 lengths of like 30 centimeters, you're going to pay about $100. So yeah, when you buy it, make sure you buy once and get it over with. Right. A lighter. I quit smoking 2.5 years ago. I still have a lighter with me because it's always useful to have something to make a flame with. Get one that will last and is refillable, because you're going to put it in your tackle box and forget about it. It's going to come out in emergencies only. Say, well, according to my calculations, this is the end of chapter 1. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the next episode you watch is going to be chapter 2, and that's going to be about the knots that you need to master. And about 3 episodes after that, we're going to be at the water. So that's something to look forward to. But for the time being, I'm going to say adios, goodbye. There might be a bit of time for you guys that are watching this on YouTube. There might be a little bit of time between when I upload this and when I upload the next video, because I do have most of chapter 2 already sorted, but there is still some editing that needs to happen. So yes, please be patient. Give me a week or 2. I'll be able to sort that out for you. And that is it then. I will see you in chapter 2. Ciao.